They are the hottest team in the National League right now. The only team that has won 8 of their last 10 games and trying to keep it rolling against the Pittsburgh Pirates here in Game 2. And we welcome you inside Dodger Stadium. Joe Davis with Oral Hershiser. Alana Rizzo joins us in just a moment. And I think what has stood out most lately has been the offense. The last 5 games, more runs than in any 5-game stretch in close to a decade. When you try to break that down, it's not necessarily been Corey Seager. It's not been Justin Turner. Gonzalez is out. It's several guys that have made less than 100 career starts playing huge roles.
Less experience, but a lot of quality at bats, and they're putting up some productive numbers. You talk about Chris Taylor last night, a 3-hit game, the grand slam. Cody Bellinger been on the front page of everything as National League Player of the Week, and Andrew Toll's at the top of the order and bringing power. These 3 guys have really done it. But you turn to Chris Taylor. He had the night last night of a career. The grand slam was absolutely amazing. An 0-2 slider left up. He's in contact mode. Well, his contact was pretty powerful. And then a couple more hits behind that with a double and a single. He had a career night, and he is close to hitting 400 right now.
Got a good pitching matchup for you tonight. Julio Urias takes it for the Dodgers, and on the other side is Ivan Nova. Had we told you about Nova a year ago, wouldn't have struck much fear, but he's been one of the best pitchers in baseball since the Pirates got him at the deadline.
Yeah, tip of the cap to Ray Searage, their pitching coach. Another reclamation project for him. He's had quite a few, but add Nova to the resume. The fastball, he's going to be very aggressive with. The breaking stuff is there, especially the curveball. He'll go to the changeup. And on the other side, talking about a changeup, Julio Urias, a young man that doesn't come just with a mid-90s fastball, but the changeup, great feel, the breaking ball, and the slider. The young man maybe has a few too many walks, but he'll attack. He's not he's overconfident a little bit at times, but he loves to pitch, and he's really, really good.
This is Game 2 in a 3-game series. Then it's on to Colorado, and for how the pitching is shaking out for that series, here's Alana.
Well, a great pitching matchup here tonight, guys, and we now do have some clarity, at least for the first half of that 4-game set in Denver. Dave Roberts saying earlier today that left-hander Hyunjin Ryu will be activated off of the DL when he's eligible on Thursday, and he will pitch that first game, dealing with that glute strain. He'll pitch that first game on Thursday in Denver, and then it's going to be Clayton Kershaw on Friday on 1 extra day of rest. Dave Roberts would not commit, however, to Saturday and Sunday starter.
All right, against a Rockies team in first place in the West, the Dodgers and the Pirates playing Game 2 in a 3-game series. We've got first pitch from Chavez Ravine coming up. In game 2, Dodgers and Pirates. Dodgers have won 8 of 10, trying to win the first 2 games of this series after the 12-1 walloping last night over the Pirates in the series opener. This Pirates offense trying to get things geared up. Their starting lineup brought to you by Honda. Josh Harrison bats leadoff. Then it's Jordy Mercer at short. Andrew McCutchen, another down year. He's hitting third, starting in center. Gregory Polanco, the cleanup man, still yet to homer this year, even though he's hit in that spot every game this season. Jose Ozuna started in the outfield last night. He's at first tonight. Then Cervelli. Chris Bostic, first career start in the majors. And then Gift Ngope, the first major leaguer born in Africa. Julio Urias has made 2 starts in the majors this year after beginning the year in AAA. Both starts coming against the Giants, and he's allowed 1 run over 10 2/3.
And his biggest issue so far has really just been the strike zone as far as walks. He can get ahead of guys, he attacks at times, but the walks have been too high. And he shouldn't really stay away from the strike zone. The league does not hit the ball hard off of him at all. So with all 4 of his pitches, he can attack, get ahead, and try and finish these hitters a little bit sooner before he gets even close to a 3-ball count.
And how perfect is it that on Mexican Heritage Night here at Dodger Stadium, it's the pride of Culiacan, Mexico, Julio Urias making the start. Still only 20 years old, carrying the best earned run average of any starting pitcher in baseball since the All-Star break last year. Josh Harrison climbs in, and away we go with ball 1. 1 run over 5 2/3 his first time out. That was at San Francisco. And then 5 shutout innings last Wednesday against the Giants in what eventually became an extra innings loss. Ball and a strike. Harrison, the only regular for the Pirates, hitting above 255. The 3rd worst in the majors, averaging less than 4 runs per game. Held the 1 last night. 1-2.
He's styling in there with the batting gloves and the shoes that are a little louder tonight than before.
Little. Leading things off. And dragging a ground ball to Justin Turner. High throw that Bellinger climbs the ladder to pull down for the game's first out.
Justin Turner on this play prefers to try and get rid of it very quickly, give Cody Bellinger plenty of time if the throw's offline, and that little padding of getting rid of it so quick allows for that jump and get down in time to still get Harrison.
Helps to have a 6'4" first baseman on that play. Cody, the everyday first baseman right now, with Gonzalez on the disabled list. 1 gone, Jordy Mercer. Ball 1.
You know, Julio did have all the different walks, but when he has missed, it's been missing down, and I think that's why he's putting up so many zeros.
Hard hit past Urias. Well positioned Chris Taylor. 2 up and 2 down.
Keep the ball down. You get a lot of ground balls. Ground balls surely don't turn into big RBI situations of home runs and doubles.
You were talking about Julio Urias and getting ahead in the count. Last season he was 63% first pitch strike. This year that's below 50%, and so you're seeing those walks, 4 in each start. Higher pitch counts more quickly than you'd like. A lot of it has to do with falling behind. 2 gone, bases empty, and it's Andrew McCutchen taking ball 1.
And when your walks are almost as big as the total of innings you've pitched, 8 and 10 2/3, his walk rate is 2nd from the bottom as far as all starting pitchers. So he's number 162 of 163 when it comes to walks.
McCutchen drills 1, but Taylor again positioned well. The scouting paying dividends in the first inning. 1, 2, 3 go the Pirates, and the Dodgers come to bat against Ivan Nova after this. Put 6 times this season, this lineup has contributed double-digit performances. That leads the majors. Here's the starting 9. It's brought to you by Honda. And it has a similar look to last night. Toll, Seager, and Turner in the front with Bellinger hitting cleanup. Jock Peterson a 3-hit night last night. Grandal hitting 6th. Then it's Taylor, Puig, and Urias. Ivan Nova was traded to the Pirates from the Yankees on August 1st last year, and then this offseason signed a 3-year, $26 million deal to stay in Pittsburgh. He's the National League Pitcher of the Month in April, and so far looks like a steal on that deal that he's on.
2.14 ERA. He's going to attack you and be very aggressive with the fastball. Got the curveball and the changeup, but the turnaround's really been his confidence to throw the ball in the strike zone. And we'll talk about Ray Serge's pitching coach throughout the game.
Toll swings at his first one, fouls it off, strike 1. To your point about throwing the ball in the strike zone, 27 strikeouts to only 1 walk. This is 0-1. Tolles grounds one softly to first. Jose Osuna takes it to the bag for the first out. He's 30 years old now, out of the Dominican Republic. 8th major league season for a guy that debuted when he was 23 back in 2010. And spent his first 7.5 years with the Yankees. He came over to the Pirates late last year. Far and away leading the National League in strikeout to walk ratio. There's Garrett Cole, who sits 4th in that category. Seager taps one on the ground to short. Jordy Mercer. And 2 ground ball outs quickly. On 3 pitches for Nova, 2 away.
Third baseman, number 10.
Justin Turner comes up. We look at the Land Rover Performance Spotlight, and really, when you're looking at these numbers here, it begs the question: how do you get this guy out?
You don't right now, and I think that will continue. Justin is really primed for a huge year, getting off to the fastest start of his career, and a great sign by the Dodgers, a team leader. When he sees a ball, he reads it very well, reads it early, understands what kind of pitch it is, and can put a good swing on it.
376 average, 3rd in the majors. And he takes ball 1 from Nova. Yeah, what you mentioned about the pitch recognition, Turner Ward, the hitting coach, has said that that is first and foremost what sets Turner apart. At the knees, 1-1. And that's always been there with Justin. It's just the last few years he's had the swing to match it and the approach to match it. 1-2.
One borderline low, one borderline away, but Justin is still smiling with his 376 average.
Upstairs 2-2.
This is the most impressive part about Justin is his ability to hit with 2-strike count and still be relaxed up there and put a good swing on it. You don't see any anxiety, any defense. He's not defenseless here.
Digs it out. We'll do it again. A hit in 20 of the last 22. Trying to reach to keep the inning rolling for Bellinger against his Pirates team that has dropped 6 of 9. A 2-2 pitch in the dirt, full count. And you go back to the recognition. It looked like he knew that pitch was going to be in the dirt, even though it started in the zone, right out of Nova's hand.
Yeah, he's committing all the time, and it's swing, 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 take. And you're right, he does give up on this pitch real early. And the fact that you see the flinch there, the stride, he's going to stride on every one. And he's going to tuck the shoulders on everyone, and he's going to start to fire them, but it's fire in the hands all the way is where you see the recognition.
That's news. A Nova walk. Previously, his only walk was to a pitcher. So now 27 Ks on the season to just 2 walks, and the inning kept alive for Cody Bellinger. Dodgers 9-3 since he was called up for his major league debut after just a short time at the AAA level. Swings at the first one, strike one.
One of the most impressive things about Cody Bellinger and really this Dodger offensive explosion is the fact that once they start to hit, they will take their walk. They don't continue to just say, oh, I'm swinging really well, and chase pitches just because they're swinging well. They still make the pitchers get in the strike zone.
One ball and 1 strike.
Once you're hot, hitting coaches, you'll hear them say, we're scaring them out of the strike zone. And once you scare the pitcher out of the strike zone, you need to still take your walks.
Hooked around the plate, and it's 2-1. 2 guys that grew up Yankee fans. Ivan Nova in the Dominican Republic. Cody Bellinger because his dad was playing for the Yankees. So Nova was a kid in the Dominican watching those games on TV. He delivers 2-1. Bellinger shows bunt, takes a ball that gets by Cervelli and moves Turner into scoring position.
Cody has shown the complete part of his game. He'll take the bunt with a shift. He has done that. He's had a swinging bunt that beat a shift early on, his first hit of his big league career.
"17 consecutive starts here in his time with the Pirates that he's walked 1 or fewer. He walks Turner and now sits 3-1 on Bellinger, who can sit dead red. High drive to the opposite field sends Bostic back with room. And the Dodgers finished in the first. Pretty good looking approach against Nova, but nothing to show for it through 1. Temperatures in the mid-60s and a good crowd turning out on Mexican Heritage Night here at Dodger Stadium. No score through with an inning. As the Mexican-born Julio Urias goes back out there after working a 1-2-3 first with 3 groundouts, taking advantage of some really nice scouting and data that Dodgers put together to position those fielders.
Well, a couple balls were hit real hard, and Chris Taylor really soft hands on the infield. So very slick inning. There's Chris, who can play anywhere in the infield really. Third, short, and second, and of course he could scoot over to first, but that's not necessary.
Urias needed only 8 pitches to work a 1-2-3 first. Goes to work against Gregory Polanco and misses ball 1. So he's fallen behind all 4 hitters that he's faced 1-0, and that's been the issue in the first 2 starts.
Yeah, either fall behind or get to 0-2 and not put people away quick enough, and that is a good way to build your pitch count. And that has shortened his outings.
(2-0). Such thing when you have as good a stuff as Julio does, trying to be too fine with it.
You can be. I think that would be the ultimate conclusion. In some ways, he's so good that he expects to hit the corners. And some guys are just like going for halves of the plate. I think Julio thinks he can hit the edges all the time. And he doesn't give in. Ned Colletti talked about it on the pregame show with Clayton Kershaw coming up. Had a conversation with Clayton, had a little bit of the same issue. Tremendous stuff. Just get it in the strike zone. Get people out and get them out quickly.
A 2-1 and a pop-up. And all over to give it a look, but it's in the seats, and it's 2-2. The guy tried to catch it with his hat. Had a Dodger jersey and a Pirates hat. That is why he didn't catch it.
Bad karma. With the Dodger hat with the jersey. The Fernando Valenzuela jersey.
So 2-2 on Gregory Polanco. Is one of the best representations of what a disappointing season this has been for Pittsburgh. Hit 22 homers last year, knocked in 86. Yet to homer, and he's only driven in 6 through the first 32 games this year. Underperformance for the guys that are here, and a bunch of key pieces missing. A 2-2. In the dirt, and the count's full. You have Jung Ho Kang, their starting third baseman, but he's still in South Korea because of a 3rd DUI arrest. Still undergoing trial for that. Starling Marte, the 80-game suspension for PEDs. And then some injuries as well. David Freese out with a hamstring injury after he had gotten off to a really good start. Polanco stays alive, still 3-2. There were some people, Oral, that thought if the Cubs were going to come back to earth at all, the Pirates might be the best threat to unseat them in the Central.
And the Cubs today look like they might split with the Rockies. They got pounded in the first game, but Colorado, beat them 10-4. Cubs jumped out to a 5-0 lead in the second game.
It's a leadoff walk here in the second.
I'm not sure the Cubs are going to come back to the pack for a while, though. That's a very young and talented team. They might have some trouble in certain places at different times, maybe in the rotation. Arrieta got beat up a little bit today.
Going into the second game of that doubleheader, there was 16-16. And a game and a half back of the Cardinals.
A little bit of a hangover maybe from all the celebration. Raising the flag, getting the big bling on your finger.
Here's Jose Osuna with the leadoff man on here in the second. Strike one. Anything to that?
I think there is a mental battle there for sure. You know, when the magic happens and you take it all the way through, including for them the Game 7 of the World Series and the rain delay that seemed to turn the momentum of the whole game. You have to find those moments again to build on and not relive last year. They haven't had those moments yet. When we played them in Chicago, they looked like a pretty good team.
Come here in a few weeks for a weekend series. It's a homestand that'll see the Cardinals and the Cubs come to Dodger Stadium. Runner at first to start this inning. It's Polanco and an 0-1. Osuna cues one to first. Bellinger thought about going to second, but instead gets the out at first. So Polanco is safe in scoring position and one gone.
Corey Seager shifted around a long way, and Cody Bellinger decides not to try and hit a moving target. Get the sure out there with just your foot. This ball was spinning an awful lot. It could have been also a little bit of the grip that he got as he reached into his glove.
Francisco Cervelli now. Hit and a walk last night and slowly getting his season going. On base percentage guy most of his career, mostly with the Yankees, actually where he caught Ivan Nova. And now in his third year in a Pirates uniform. Urias delivers to him. Cervelli shows bunt, takes one in the dirt that Grandal's able to smother, holding Polanco. So Urias has now started 1-0 on 5 of the 6 hitters that he's faced. And we keep harping on the lack of command, but even with the 8 walks over the first 2 games, he only gave up 1 run. An ability to make pitches when he's needed to. His 1-0. Line to left center field. Toll started back. Now comes on and makes the catch. Back to second goes Polanco, 2 away.
Tough read and a good read from Andrew Tolles. A full swing, but then off the end of the bat, the ball wasn't hit as well as the swing would tell you, and then a little topspin on it also. A lot of times that can make you fall in, have the ball fall in.
Chris Bostic made his major league debut last night, 2 strikeouts, and now his first major league start. Polanco at second with 2 gone. And Urias to the plate with the first one to Bostic. Bouncing ball back of first. Bellinger's got it. And again, Urias makes pitches when he needs them. After the leadoff man reached, winds up getting stranded at second. seems like cold hard facts of the night. ERA plus basically puts pitchers on a scale where 100 is league average. Anything below that represents below average. Anything above it represents above average. For 6.5 years of his career, a 95 ERA plus, which means he was 5% worse than an average pitcher. Since joining the Pirates, and this is no longer a tiny sample size, this is 17 starts with Pittsburgh. An ERA plus of 156. Pours in a strike to Jock Peterson.
You have to tip your cap to Ray Sarich. Even Ivan Nova, he put the work in, but this young man has gotten some great tutelage from Ray. Ray's had some great turnaround projects. Francisco Liriano, J.A. Happ, Edison Volquez,
A.J. Burnett, Charlie Morton. They call him Uncle Ray. 1-1 to Jock. Outside, 2-1.
And that would be different than like Professor Ray, where you think, oh, maybe more mechanical, maybe more about strategy. It's really more about being an uncle.
Yeah, they say that the thing with him is his enthusiasm, the way he encourages you. Peterson stays hot with a base hit to center to open the second. And that enthusiasm, that positivity, even boiling down to in a bullpen session, hitting a spot, hearing a nice cheer from him, leads to trust. And those things combine, and all the pitchers that he's turned around say this same equation. That leads to the confidence as much as anything he does mechanically.
And knowing that your coach pitched in the big leagues, that he's seen big leaguers, he knows the success formula, and then he's cheering for you when all of a sudden you execute it, it's got to feel pretty good.
Leadoff man on. Here's Grandal. Yasmani swings at a fastball and pops it into left center field. McCutchen calls off Bostic for out number 1. Sirich says that he gets to know the person first, wants to know if they have kids, wants to know what their hobbies are. And that pitching will come up eventually, but he doesn't want to force it. Wants it to be a natural part of the conversation they have as people, as opposed to coach and player. 1 out, it's Chris Taylor. After that huge night last night, another grand slam. And a .395 average coming into this game. In the air to right, Gregory Polanco. So back-to-back flyouts after the first man reached. We mentioned it last night and showed on the graphic a second ago, but Sirich, part of his big league career was spent here with the Dodgers. 1989, 1990. 7 seasons in the majors, mostly nondescript seasons, working out of the bullpen. Playing career finished, and he went home to Long Island. First thing that he did was work construction. $10 an hour, where his job was to haul around these 12-foot pillars that eventually would get installed in cemeteries, and did that for a year before he got a call from the Cardinals, wanted to see if he had interest in coaching. A strike on Puig, and he's thinking, well, I'm making $10 an hour hauling around pieces that are going in cemeteries. I think I'll give coaching a try, and did for a decade in the Cardinals minor league system before going over to the Pirates. Still just in the minors then, promoted to the majors when Clint Hurdle got the job. Ball and a strike on Puig. Uncle Ray, big part of this Pirates organization. Key piece of their success, and there's been plenty in recent years. With Peterson at first and 2 gone, a 1-1 pitch. 1-2.
You know, the success story of all those different turnarounds that we mentioned with Ray Sarich is the fact that he does get these guys in the strike zone. A lot of them have all had good stuff, but have really failed their previous organizations. by just being more of a tease of good stuff but can't pitch. And except for, let's say, Francisco Liriano, who had some really good years but then just fell on hard times. Started throwing his slider for a ball a lot, went through a Tommy John surgery and really was scared of the strike zone after coming back from the surgery. But most of them have been guys that have had really good stuff but just couldn't find a way to get it in the strike zone emotionally.
A 1-2. Puig bangs a base hit to right. 2 on with 2 out now, and it'll be up to Arias.
A couple of Dodger hits this inning, really good spray pattern. Yasiel Puig hitting the ball hard to the opposite field, staying and letting the ball travel, let it get deep, and then just kind of powering it over here to the right side. And Jock Peterson's base hit up the middle, when he starts to use the middle of the field, you know that he's going to get hot or is in a hot streak.
Julio looking for his first hit of the season. With 2 on and 2 out here in the second. Here comes Nova. Strike 1. Julio used to be a heck of a hitter. Growing up in Mexico as a young third baseman. Didn't take long to show that pitching was his future, though.
You don't see many left-handed shortstops or second basemen, so if you can hit and need a place to play, rest your arm a little bit out there over there at third base. Did he just swing at a ball for a strike, but the ball hit him in the foot?
I don't know. Did it get him?
I don't know. Just to me, he looked like he's walking around limping. Did this ball hit him? No. Okay. He just was walking around. I thought he was limping.
0-2. And Nova gets him to get out of the inning. Dodgers a couple of singles in the frame, but no damage. If you're enjoying your night here at Dodger Stadium, no score after 2.
Mexican heritage night at Dodger Stadium. Adrian Gonzalez is eligible to come off the disabled list this weekend. However, when it comes to Gonzo, Dave Roberts said earlier today, there is no calendar. In fact, they throw it out. Right now, Adrian Gonzalez, the veteran first baseman, is on what is called a slow program. Basically, they want to make sure that Adrian is 100% healthy, dealing with all of the different ailments that basically landed him on the disabled list. When he joined Nomar Garciaparra and myself on the set today during our pregame show, he said he finally woke up this morning without all of the ailments and aches and pains that he's been feeling the last couple of days, guys. Dave Roberts said that he gets a pass as far as not necessarily having to come off that disabled list on that 10-day mark. Says he's a veteran guy. It's been 14 years since he's ever even gone on the disabled list. They want to make sure he's 100% before he returns.
All right, Alana. Julio Urias back to work to open the third against Gift and Gope, who fouls off the first pitch. We've teased this a little bit so far in this series and even before this series, but it's a treat to watch number 61 in a Pirates uniform. 27 years old, out of South Africa, made his major league debut on April 26th, and in doing so became the first African-born big leaguer. 1 ball and 1 strike. You hear about guys that are into the game living at the field. Gift literally lived at a baseball field. His mom in South Africa worked at a field, home to an amateur team. She was the clubhouse attendant. She cooked, she cleaned for the players, sold food to spectators during games. 1-2. And the family lived in a room just off away from the showers in the home clubhouse. So he'd get up every morning. Amateur team took him under their wing. He'd get up, he'd go field ground balls. He's an elite fielder at this point and got those chops from fielding balls on a less than smooth surface there at his house. 2-2. 8 minor league seasons for him. Jumped onto Major League radars through a Major League academy in Italy that he went to a couple of times during his teenage years. Full count. An incredible story for Gift and Gope, first African-born big leaguer. Leading off this third and striking out in a fastball at 95. Julio's first.
Just going to challenge him right here, right after him, right down the middle, keep it down. Strength against strength.
Nova hitless so far this season. Fouls the first pitch off. Mentioned earlier that he grew up a Yankees fan, so much so that when other teams offered him more money, he was in the Dominican Republic growing up, he said no, I want to play for the Yankees, and took less money in the signing bonus. Red Sox were one of the teams that were really hot on him. He said not doing that.
No.
And so these offers kept rolling in, and he kept telling the guy that was training him, no, I'm a Yankee fan, I want to be in pinstripes. So his trainer arranged for a 2-week tryout at the Yankees facility, and that earned him the offer.
Well, the big fella came with real high marks, and he's turned it around now. Dodgers have a little bit of a good side of this equation, though, because he's on 4 days rest here, and he's 0-3 with a 4.05 on 4 days rest.
Urias gets him with a breaking ball and back-to-back strikeouts to open up the third.
Number 5, Josh Harrison.
Second night in a row, a Dodgers starter goes through the Pittsburgh lineup once without a hit against him. Josh Harrison comes up, having grounded out to third his first time. Harrison 0 for 5 in this series. Ball one.
I saw Julio lose his balance right there, a little bit his rhythm, kind of disgusted with himself, just trying to steal a strike with a first pitch breaking ball. Missed by a lot.
1-1, pulled the string on him.
Has the ability to get back into any count, but you don't want to use that ability as often as he has so far this year. Gives him an awful lot of confidence to go to the corners, but still want to keep throwing strikes.
Yeah, while he has consistently fallen behind You're right about that. He has consistently been able to battle back and get outs. Most importantly, keep the opposition off of the board. Just 1 run allowed in his 2+ outings. Looking for a 1-2-3 inning. 2-2 on Harrison.
A quick first inning really set up the pitch count here at 34. A 35th pitch right here, or even a 36 would be very nice for 3 innings of work.
Softly hit off of Julio's glove, and Harrison reaches. That is ruled an error on Julio. His second in 3 starts, and the inning continues for Jody Mercer.
So routine for Julio right here. I don't know if he takes his eye off it or just takes it for granted. Maybe a little taking it for granted. And the ball with a lot of spin from Harrison kind of curves in the last foot or 2. Easy play for him, and he's got tremendous ability as a very fine fielder, but just hasn't shown it right there.
So Mercer comes up with a man at first and 2 gone, and Arias guns over to first. Strike 1. Mercer out of Oklahoma, out of a town called Tegloa, Oklahoma. Population of about 300 people. His high school graduating class, a whopping 7. And the Dodgers originally drafted him out of there. Decided instead to go to Oklahoma State, and then the Pirates drafted him in the 3rd round, following in his career with the Cowboys. Tegloa has a convenience store, it has a bank, has a couple churches, and it has a grain elevator. And at first with 2 gone and an 0-1. Fly to right center field. Puig on the move, has a beat on it, makes the catch. Heading over. Middle 3 in a scoreless game.
These Pirates the Dodgers will play. If you're one of the first 40,000 fans in attendance, you'll receive a Kenley Jansen bobblehead. That's Kenley Jansen, the all-time save leader of the Dodgers. It's going to be worth something someday. And courtesy of Farmer John. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Kenley passed Eric Gagne last year. With that new contract, he's going to be the all-time save leader for a long, long time.
Long time. Andrew Tolles leading off the third against Ivan Nova and taking a ball. Dodgers 2 hits, once through the order. A Peterson single, a Puig single. Nothing to show for it just yet. Off the end of the bat to short. Jordy Mercer circles around it and guns a fastball over there, showing off an arm that had him All-American pitcher for a time at Oklahoma State. Welcome inside. The Dodgers rolling right now. They've won 8 of 10, and the offense has been particularly impressive the last 5 games or so.
Sure has, and you've got Ivan Nova out there on the mound, and he's attacking with the fastball. What's getting the Dodgers off of it right now is the movement. They're hitting a lot of that top of that sinker, and on the mound, the pitch count for Arias is really doing well. So this game looking like a pitcher's duel right now.
Corey Seager takes a strike. Quickly 0-2. And this offensive explosion has not corresponded with a hot streak from Seager, their best hitter. Takes this one in the dirt. It's 1-2. And Corey 4 for his last 25 as the Dodgers have scored these 44 runs over the last 5 games. Best 5-game stretch for the Dodgers since 2008. Los Angeles Dodger record 51. They've done that twice in a 5-game stretch, 1970, 1979. 2-2. Franchise record overall, you've got to go back to our guy Gunnar McGonagall's days. 1890, the Brooklyn Bridegrooms had a 5-game stretch where they scored 67 runs. Seager's worked it full after falling behind 0-2. Scored 15 runs against the perennially awful Cleveland Spiders. They had some of the worst teams in baseball history. And then against this Pirates franchise. Bounced back to the mound and speared by Nova. 2 out. They were known as the Pittsburgh Alleghenies at that point in 1890. Became the Pirates the next year.
Number 10, Justin
But the Bridegrooms
Turner.
scored 52 runs against him in a 4-game stretch. It's one of the worst teams in baseball history. The Alleghenies that year, Oral.
Yeah.
Just be thankful you and I weren't doing the games. 23 and 113.
Oh, wow.
It's the second worst team ever.
Come up with new ways to say, I think they're getting hot.
They're due.
They are too.
Ball 1 on Turner. Bridegrooms went to the World Series that year. Finished in a tie. Nova's 1-0 pitch. Turner gets under it. Left center field, it's Bostic and McCutchen. McCutchen with a call on the catch, and 1-2-3 go the Dodgers for the first time against Nova tonight. First hit against Julio Urias, and as Andrew McCutchen comes to the plate, we look at our unlimited baseball break brought to you by T-Mobile. Some monster seasons for McCutchen, a 5-time All-Star. He and Jackie Robinson, the only players in baseball history with these numbers in his first 7 seasons. But the last 2 years have not been the same Kutch as he's called around Pittsburgh. At his worst year last year, an OPS that was 120 points below his career average, and he's been even worse so far this year.
His eye-hand coordination was tremendous before. It wasn't always the most beautiful mechanics, but he looked like when standing in the box that he put the bat on anything, and powerfully. Seems like he gets the same pitches now, the same mistakes here and there, but just doesn't put the same swing on. And definitely not hitting him as hard.
He's adamant that health has not been a factor. 2-0, at least no injury problems. He's only 30 years old now. Typically don't see this kind of stark difference in a guy's career when he turns 29 and 30 years old. Leading off the 4th, waiting on a 2-0, and taking ball 3.
30 is usually part of the cross-section of your prime, between experience and understanding the league and still having the youthful exuberance to really put the effort in every single day and work at it, both mind and body in their prime.
Strike 1. There's some data out there that's starting to argue that the prime is actually earlier, and that's something that front offices are having to take a really hard look at as they consider when to bring guys up too.
I would think the prime would be extended as long as you have health.
High drive to left. Tolles back on it. At the wall. Leaping and making the catch. McCutchen just misses. All it is, allowed out number 1. Puig likes it.
There's a perfect example of McCutchen hitting the ball very, very well, but in the day, this is in the bleachers. And right now, Tolles has a shot at it and makes a very nice catch. After making the catch, kind of shakes his head like, I made that a little tougher than it was, because he's a little farther from the wall. But you want to start your jump away from the wall so the wall doesn't hold you down if you hit it.
So McCutchen, the first out of the 4th. Up comes Gregory Polanco. Bouncing ball to second. Chris Taylor. 2 outs on back-to-back pitches.
That's nice to get an out on a first pitch. Struggle a little bit with McCutchen. Give up the warning track fly ball to raises your heartbeat, and then get a quick second out.
Urias now 1 run through 14 1/3 this year in the majors. With the bases empty and 2 gone, it's Jose Osuna. Starts him with a breaking ball that's in there for strike 1. Osuna, his big league debut because of Starling Marte's PED suspension. Making his major league debut after 7 minor league seasons. Ball and a strike. One of 9 rookies on this roster right now for Pittsburgh. Nowhere close to the formidable lineup that they thought they could roll out there if everybody was healthy and everybody was in good standing. Shanked foul, 1-2.
Clint Hurdle, manager of the Pirates, is going to have a lot of managing to do this year on the emotional side of keeping this team up until people get healthy, they get back on the roster. And can some of these young guys that he didn't think he would have to be grooming really to win, and they get it done in time to really salvage the season the way they look right now. They're very anemic on offense right now. The last 6 games have only scored 13 runs. Only scored more than 2 once over the last 6 games. Hard to learn and win at the big league level.
Two and two. Dropped 6 of 9. They've been above 500 just one day. They sat at 3 and 2. Swimming upstream otherwise. Julio looking for a 1-2, 3/4. Protected by Osuna, and it stays at 2 and 2.
Then you come into Dodger Stadium and you got a team that's riding a wave. Dodgers are doing really, really well right now and firing on all cylinders. I mean, you start in the bullpen, the back end of the bullpen, then you go to the offense. And Justin Turner and Yasiel Puig leading the team in RBIs.
And a strikeout with a changeup to finish the Pirates in a 4th. Sportsnet LA is brought to you by the Ram 1500 Rebel. Experience the power and toughness of Ram at your local dealer. And by Jack in the Box. Come try the new guacamole and bacon chicken sandwich only at Jack in the Box. On this date in 2015, the Pirates turned the first 4-5-4 triple play in baseball history. It was at St. Louis. No score. Bottom of the 4th. Cody Bellinger to lead off against Ivan Nova. Ball 1. They had runners at 2nd and 3rd. Yadier Molina at the plate. He lines out to 2nd. Neil Walker makes the catch, throws to 3rd to double up a runner. And then Gunn finds Jason Hayward chilling between 2nd and 3rd and throws back to the bag for the triple play. A ground ball foul, and it's 1-1. That was Vance Worley that was pitching in that game. He is yet another Ray Searage reclamation.
That play will keep your pitch count down.
That it will do. It's one way to get out of a jam.
Yeah.
4-5-4 triple play. Never know what you're going to see on any given night when you come to the ballpark. A 1-1 to Bellinger. Watches it drift away, and it's 2-1. We're talking with Dave Roberts before batting practice today. He said his 2 favorite at-bats last night. Peterson's opposite field double and Bellinger's walk. 2-2. They pounded him up with fastballs, and then they threw a pitch similar to that one, an off-speed that disappeared low, and he took it. Seemingly simple walk, but it was more than that to Dave Roberts. Takes a change up and runs it full.
He's shown every facet of the game. Saw him leap over at first and save Justin Turner on a throwing error. We've seen him glove some balls over there. We've seen him play left field, bunt for hits, run the bases well.
And another impressive walk. That's a very similar finishing pitch on the walk that impressed Dave Roberts so much last night.
It's one thing to get it earlier in the bat and swing and miss or chase it. And it's another thing to learn and make an adjustment mid at bat to then take the walk. Remember 2 pitches ago, he swung at that. Not now. Fish ain't biting.
So Nova's second walk of the game. It's the first time in his 17 starts with the Pirates, now 18, that he's walked more than one. Came into the game with a 27-1 strikeout to walk ratio tonight. 1 K, 2 walks. Jock Peterson. Ball 1. One more Nova nugget for you. Entering the game at his time with Pittsburgh, he had more complete games than walks. 5 complete games, 4 walks. His 1-0 pitch. Peterson lines another one. Left center field, but it hangs up for Bostic. Dodger fans, do you know a standout high school senior athlete? Then nominate them for a chance to be named a Spectrum Sports Championship Drive Scholar Athlete and receive a $2,500 college scholarship. Go to SpectrumChamp.com now for more information. I know it's a lineup, but Jock Peterson sure does look good right now.
The line drive base hit in the last 2 at bats ago, and on that line drive, he does look very good, staying inside the ball. Yasmani Grandal got a couple gift hits last night, looking to really start to get hot.
That's here with Bellinger at first and 1 gone in a scoreless 4th inning. Dave Roberts had a conversation with Yasmani Grandal prior to the game today and pointed out to him that Grandal, just with his reputation, tends to scare pitchers out of the zone. And when he's good, he leaves those pitches. But lately, too aggressive and has been chasing out of the zone. 2-0.
Fine line between feeling good and feeling aggressive, but making sure you get a strike. Yasmani's early days as a Dodger came here with a reputation of understanding the strike zone, and actually fell into a slump and said, you know what, I got to start hitting some of those early strikes. So it's that balance between getting a strike, swinging at a strike, and being aggressive.
See if he gets a fastball to drive on 2-0. It is a fastball. It's hit hard. Right center field. Way back there. And gone. It was his patience that got him into a hitter's count, and then he belted one. A home run to start the scoring.
Take a look at the Volkswagen slow-mo cam, and Yasmani does not hit this slow, but it's sure a pretty swing in slow-mo. Nice chat with Dave Roberts that laid off a couple of balls and hit a strike.
So a 2-0 lead, and up comes Chris Taylor. Oh, gets out of the way of one that slips out of Nova's hand. Ball 1.
Large percentage of the crowd here thought that was a knockdown pitch. That was an overthrown curveball, just slipped out the top. Nova didn't intend for that to be at his head.
Ivan, one of the best home run rates among any pitcher, serves one up here in the 4th. 1-1. Taylor hard hit to short, scooped up by Mercer. 2 out. Did you see the catch that the fan made earning this souvenir.
Number 66, Puig.
It's great core strength reaching over that railing.
The next time one of them's got to call it. Get out of the way.
Right. Center fielder's ball.
For sure. He got it.
Now Puig. Strike one. Single his first time. Ball and a strike. Over his last 6 games now, Puig hitting close to 400. Included a home run last night, elevated to the pull field, what he's been trying to do. Breaking ball, 1-2.
LCL has put in a lot of work with Dave Roberts on the philosophical side of hitting, with Turner Ward on the mechanics of his swing.
Down on a breaking ball here to finish the Dodgers in the 4th, but not before Yasmani Grandal goes deep. His 4th of the season begins the scoring. Julio Urias back out there after this.
Advantage. It's already twice the amount of run support that he has received so far in his previous 2 outings, looking for his first win of his young 2017 season, continuing to make milestones as well as history. Julio Urias is going to get his own bobblehead doll, you guys. It's pretty exciting. The 10th in a series of what the Dodgers are doing so far this year. He is the youngest Dodger to ever receive a bobblehead. That's going to be September 26th when the Dodgers face the Padres right here at Dodger Stadium.
And the hope is that by late September that bobblehead will be built up and ready. I'm making a joke, all about young pitchers getting built up in time for the postseason.
I got you ready.
That one flew by you.
No, I got it.
He's back out there for the 5th. Francisco Cervelli. Started him with a breaking ball, strike one. 3 Ks for Urias so far. He's walked 1. There's been an error, but no hits for Pittsburgh. There have been some hard hit balls. One of those from Cervelli was caught in left center by Tolles. The 0-1. Ball 1.
I was thinking that everything that describes Julio right now is always about youngest, and I think he can't wait until it would be one of the best. He wants it really bad, and he knows he has a real gift in the arm that he was given.
Julio's said it many times. I have a bad left eye, but a good left arm. The good, an understatement. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Cervelli. He was born with a benign mass behind his left eye and had several operations even before he turned 2 years of age. Latest operation just 2 years back, but not at all limiting for him. Winds and pitches 2-2. Hooked down the left field line, but foul.
Doctors have explained to me that a lot of the best eye-hand coordination people are cross-eye dominant. So if you're throwing with your right hand, your left eye is doing most of your vision, so you can kind of triangulate it. So if you're throwing with your left hand, like Julio, his right eye is doing most of the vision for him. And so he can triangulate it, gives him great eye-hand coordination, great ability to place the ball.
Past third, but again foul. Even though it hasn't limited him at all, for some scouts and executives when he was in Mexico growing up, it scared some of them. They wondered what the worst case scenario could be. Nobody totally felt like they could trust that everything was okay. Cervelli bounces one to straightaway short. That's Corey Seager. That's out number 1. Didn't scare away Mike Brito though, and the Dodger brass that flew down to watch Urias pitch in Mexico. They actually flew down to watch another player. First they flew down to watch Puig work out in Mexico City, and then their next stop wasn't as much about Urias as it was a catcher that they eventually signed. And they couldn't take their eyes off that young left-hander. Signed him a few days after he turned 16 years old, had him an A-ball soon after. Chris Bostic takes ball 1. Bostic down the left field line, foul. There's been some good contact, but not straight.
You got a pitcher on the mound that changes speeds. Not only got to hit it hard, but you got to figure out how to get it between the lines. You get all the way up to 96, 97 miles an hour, drop it down all the way to about 81.
Two and one.
At every level, Julio has never disappointed. It was never about is he going to be good enough. It was just really about grooming him, building him up, and making sure that the pitch count was going to be there. Everybody's always thought he's going to be special. It's always been about making sure he's healthy.
2-2.
First and foremost, he seems to be able to control his mind. Once you do that, you control your body. And once you control that, you control the baseball. I think every single game, that whole process is going to slow down for him, and he's just going to get better and better.
Full count. Urias with a payoff, and Bostic grounds one up along third and foul. A pitch count climbing for Julio. Pirates putting together some better at-bats. And Urias continuing not to be spot on with his command.
He's been going through this battle a while. The last outing, he put up the 5 zeros in San Francisco, got a no decision, but the shots of him in the dugout, he was talking to Rick Honeycutt and kind of shaking his head. He was really talking to Clayton Kershaw after it, and they were going over grips and feelings of what's going on out there.
And he winds up walking Bostic. It's his second free pass.
So he's still trying to figure it out for this year, where the specific rhythm is and what he's trying to do with the baseball. But so much potential and ability to get back into counts, to get through innings and still get zeros. And we're just all working on getting him to be more efficient.
Coming up on Thursday on an all-new episode of Backstage Dodgers, go behind the scenes as Vin Scully returns to Dodger Stadium for the Ring of Honor ceremony. And he get to go back to his White House visit for the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Don't miss Backstage Dodgers, presented by Hankook Tires, Thursday right after the postgame. Here's Ngope. Urias struck him out his first time. Those offensive numbers for Ngope since his call-up, a pleasant surprise. Chases here, strike one. His calling card, his defense. That's what allowed him to climb the minor league ladder despite only hitting .232 as a minor leaguer. A big step for him is last year abandoning switch hitting. Just sticking to right-handed hitting. Had a huge spring training offensively and jumped onto the Pirates' big league radar. And was called up a couple weeks ago.
You mentioned all the rough fields that he had to play on. A lot of the Dominican shortstops that really dominated the shortstop position for years in the Major League Baseball. They played on really rough fields and really played without gloves growing up a lot of times. They'd fashion milk cartons or different things into things to protect their hands. Imagine moving from a rock-bedded field, not having a glove, to some of the manicured fields of the minor leagues after being signed, and thinking, I get to use this beautiful glove and they get me a new one in this field that has no bumps. Those guys were magicians.
Bostic at first. First time he's reached base in his major league career. And Ngope waiting on a 1-1. 1-2. And Ngope in his very first big league at-bat singled against John Lester. Sent his hat right to the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. Kept the bat though. He said, I still have some hits left in this.
In some ways he should make sure he gets a picture while he's here at Dodger Stadium with the Jackie Robinson statue.
Runner at first with one gone, and Urias to Ngope with a 1-2. That's low, 2-2. Jackie, of course, the first African American in the majors, and Ngope the first African born in the majors. There was a time during Ngope's minor league climb where things weren't going well. We mentioned his mom being the reason that he grew up around the game. His mom passed away from pneumonia halfway through his minor league climb, and he thought about giving the game up. Full count. And the plan was going to be that he'd just go back to Africa, live with his brothers, maybe work at that field that his mom did. But then he met Chris Archer, pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays. Chris happened to be in South Africa on a major league tour, putting on a clinic. They sat down and had lunch, and Archer helped talk him into sticking with it. He chases here, strike 3, throw down, picked out, and tagged out. 5 no-hit innings for Julio Urias, halfway home in a 2-0 game. Sportsnet LA is brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. Toyota time is going on now. Get incredible deals on a fuel-efficient RAV4 hybrid. Moving along here in Los Angeles to the bottom of the 5th inning, where the Dodgers lead 2-0 on a Yasmani Grandal home run, and he helped him here to strike him out, throw him out.
Came right across there and stayed with it. Got it on line, and then Corey Seager did a very nice job picking him up. Soft hands come up with it and get down and get the tag.
So to the bottom of the 5th inning, 9-1-2 for the Dodgers. That means Julio leads off against Nova. Starts him with a fastball high. Of course, as you get deeper into this thing, the discussion will center around the pitch count. Urias has thrown 71. 2-0. One of the most protected arms in baseball. Nova's 2-0. Tails in for a strike, 2-1.
Julio threw 100 pitches last year on June 28th against the Milwaukee Brewers. That was his high so far in his major league career.
Lays a bunt down, charging at third is Harrison. His throw is late. Julio Urias with a bunt single. And he is out hitting the Pirates himself.
Heads up play on both ends of this bunt. Getting the bunt down, leaving the box, and then after seeing the overthrow, he didn't make an effort to go to second base, just stayed straight. Running down there, seeing he's going to make it, and then this ball gets by. George Lombard looks for it. Julio sees it, but doesn't make a move.
First hit of the year for him. Back to the top, and Andrew Tolles. Cue shot foul past the bag. Julio is busting up that line pretty good.
Well, he knows he's bunting for a hit, so it's not going to be a jog like on a sacrifice or something to protect yourself and rest for pitching. He knew he made a good one and had a chance.
Just to add on to your pitch count conversation, you mentioned 100 being the career high. His 2 starts in the bigs this year, he's thrown 90 and 88. Andrew Tolles with a jam shot, sinking into left center. Back-to-back singles to open the 5th. Toll's on base streak now 11 games.
Dodgers got a few of these hits yesterday, also with some big flies, grand slams by Taylor and doubles and other people, but if they find some holes with a bunt and a bloop, watch out for this guy to break out.
Pair of groundouts for him in this one, and now 4 for his last 26. And I only tell you that number because you know that means it ain't going to be long. 1-0. Very best hitters have a way of limiting those slumps, shortening those slumps. One and one.
Even though he hasn't been getting any hits, he still has one of the top well-hit averages in Major League Baseball. So when he puts the ball in play, it's got some velocity on it.
One and two, had one to hit there, but got under it, fouled it off.
Our partner and friend Nomar Garcia-Parra will tell you when you're not getting hits, a lot of times it's not the ball you end up putting in play, it's the ball you miss. And I'd say that last one right there from Corey, that's a ball that he expects to hit really hard. Just fouled it back.
2 on, nobody out in the 5th inning. Nova's 1-2. Seager takes it, count evens. Ivan Nova, 30 years old, out of the Dominican Republic. Grew up in a tiny village in the Dominican. Palenque, Dominican Republic. Family didn't have a ton. One of 5 children growing up in that family. Comes set for a 2-2. Seager lifts one to left. The Bostic settles under. 1 out.
Justin Turner.
2 on with 1 gone. Justin Turner comes up 0 of 1 today with a walk and a fly out. There are a few people that tweeted in with the same question over the last day or two, wondering about this consistent streak of dark spot over the TUR on Turner's jersey. It's like that every night. Takes ball 1. And it's simply from the pine tar when he takes his practice swings on deck. Leaves that stain there. But it's so consistent that it's easy to confuse it for something superstitious. Just a product of his warm-up routine. Pokes it foul, 1-1. So I guess that could kind of be considered part of his superstition, right? Because it's a product of one of his on-deck routines.
It's also a product of a lot of pine tar. That little stick right there is the Manny Mota stick. The pine tar is on a rag.
Turner lifts one to center field. McCutchen spinning into the gap to make the catch. 2 gone.
First baseman Cody Bellinger.
Here's Bellinger.
A couple of just misses for Seager and Turner, but this guy coming up to the plate has not missed many.
Back-to-back nights in the cleanup spot for Dave Roberts. Still looking for his first hit of this series, though he's walked twice and scored after both. Ball 1. You see, right after we were having that conversation yesterday, that was actually right before, about Bellinger hitting the highest pitch for a home run in 2 years. Mark Trumbo in Baltimore hit one that was even higher off of the ground. Drags a bouncing ball to second, and Gope And the inning is over. Dodgers with a missed opportunity after the first two singled. On to the sixth with the Pirates still looking for their first hit. For Arco top-tier plays tonight, courtesy of 20-year-old Julio Urias. Over 5 innings, 4 Ks, 2 walks, but no hits against him. Ivan Nova's been sharp as well, but the 2-run home run from Yasmani Grandal accounting for the difference.
Nova's pitched well, but hasn't gotten any run support. That's been typical with the Pirates this year when he has pitched. A 2.14 ERA and 3-3 in his starts. And Urias has been almost perfect. Has battled at times a little bit of command problems, but you would just say, with no hits, effectively wild.
And as we move into the 6th with a pitch count at 71, for this thing to get legitimately interesting, he's going to need a really quick inning at some point.
Dave Roberts could be put in the same predicament he was with Ross Stripling, as far as pulling a starting pitcher that had a chance to make history.
It was last April in San Francisco and Stripling's major league debut. Ivan Nova bailing out of there on strike one. Quickly 0-2, which we've not said too many times tonight, even though he's silenced the Pirates. He not necessarily been dominant as far as getting ahead in the count, finishing hitters off quickly. Needs only 3 pitches to get Nova for the first out of the 6th.
That helps the pitch count and records another out.
So here's the part of the game where the numbers would tell you it gets significantly harder, and that is working through a lineup for the 3rd time. Josh Harrison is 0 for 2. 0 for 6 in this series. Ball 1. The best Pirates hitter so far this year. The only guy hitting above 255 in a regular role for Clint Hurdle's team. Came in at 294. Strike one.
Sometimes these 3rd time around the lineup stats for me are a little skewed, because if your pitch count's a little bit elevated and they get the bullpen going knowing you're not going to go very much farther in the game, you're facing the top of the order that's been constructed by the manager to be the best way to score a run. if you get a guy on and maybe get a guy out, and then the next hitter is left-handed or the opposite hand of where you should face them, a lot of times the bullpen comes in right then because they have much deeper bullpens now, 6, 7, 8 guys down in the pen. And so you really never give it a chance to get your batting average against back down because you might only face 1, 2, 3, 4 hitters. And if somebody gets on, you're out.
2-2.
And you never get to face the weakest part of the order, the 7, 8, 9 guys.
So say you only face the top 2 in the order. You strike the first guy out, and then you give up a bleeder of a single. Well, your batting average against the third time through the order is 500.
Yeah, it's hard to make up for those days.
3-2 on Harrison.
You know, if 2 out of the first 5 get a bloop hit and a line drive and they bring in the pen, you know, your batting average against is 400, and all of a sudden the pen's in and you've gone your 5 2/3 or whatever it is, and you got a bad batting average the third time around the order.
Here comes a payoff. We'll do it again.
So in some ways, I think that stat should be looked at as far as what is the score on the scoreboard. You know, is it a 5-1 game and you've lost it and you're giving up hit after hit? Or is it a 2-1, your team needs a win, they've lost 2 in a row and the pen's fresh and they take you out because, you know, it's better for the team.
Applied to center. Easy play for Jock Peterson. 2 gone on 81 pitches for Julio Urias.
Shortstop Jordy Mercer.
And here's Jordy Mercer. Started him with a breaking ball, strike 1. We mentioned Mercer's tiny town in Oklahoma, Tagloa, Oklahoma, where he graduated with 7 kids. A jam shot to first, caught by Bellinger. That is 6 innings without a hit for Julio Urias. Pitch count in the low 80s, big time story developing. Sportsnet LA is brought to you by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Chris Taylor due up 3rd in this inning after Jock Peterson and Yasmani Grandal. And, of course, Chris Taylor on a bit of a tear here as of late. Not necessarily an everyday player, but certainly making the most of his opportunities. Coming into the game with a .395 average. And Chris earlier today was telling me that he's made a concerted effort to try to elevate the ball more, get the ball in the air a bit more. His fly ball percentage last year, guys, was just 20%. This year so far, 25.9%, so almost a 6% difference. He said, you know what, as far as the on on-base percentage. He leads the league on on-base percentage with the minimum of 40 plate appearances. He said, it's not about just the fact that I get up there and looking for the walk. I'm still trying to be aggressive when I'm at the plate. He said trying to certainly swing at strikes, not swing at balls. It sounds obvious, but certainly tweaking his swing in the offseason has made a difference.
Jock Peterson leading off the inning, fouling it back, and it's 1-1. Taylor said that the walks are a product of the hits. The more hits he gets, the more scared out of the zone pitchers become. And if you're getting hits, that means you're probably seeing the ball out of the hand pretty well, which helps lead to increased walks. 1-2 on Jock. Two more hard hit balls tonight for Peterson. Single and a line out. Stays alive here. Still 1-2. 77 pitches for Ivan Nova, who's been a workhorse for Pittsburgh. 5 complete games in his first 17 in a Pirates uniform. Two and two. Nova didn't even pitch until he was 15 years old in the Dominican Republic. He was mostly a shortstop and an outfielder. One day after a game, somebody asked him if he was free to come back to the field later in the day because they wanted him to pitch against the older kids after he had finished playing outfield with his own age group. Peterson, a big bounce at his second, and Gope will throw him out. One away. And Nova was a natural, but was still so raw, having never done it. So started a routine of getting up every morning at 5 a.m. to train as a pitcher. And a couple years later, he had signed that major league deal, or the minor league deal, with a major league squad with the New York Yankees. With the bases empty and one gone, here's Grandal, who strokes one towards left center. Bostic will have to play it in a bounce. Got it off the end of the bat some, but it still falls in, and Grandal with his second hit.
That one hit a little less than this one. That's the 2-run difference in this game. That is the most exciting thing that has happened in the game, other than what's going on the mound when the Dodgers are on defense.
Taylor's 0 for 2. First one from Nova. Tails in there, strike one.
Nova's fastball is not overpowering, 92 to 95, but that late movement, you can see why he's able to throw as many strikes with his fastball, and hitters don't square him up as much. A lot of mishit balls, other than that big fly by Yasmani.
That one's out. It's 1-1. Virginia Beach native. Played his college ball at Virginia. Batting with a 2-0 lead and a man at first with one gone in the 6th. Nova downhill, and Taylor watches it spin away. 2-1.
Good take right there on a 1-1 pitch. Already had a high fastball away, called for a strike. Same little window that ball came out of, but he didn't bite at it. Now he's got himself in a very nice hitter's count.
The 2-1. 2-2.
Nova really working the outside part of the plate. Chris Taylor's got to be looking for something to leak inside the way he's taking those pitches away. Now with 2 strikes, having to protect a little bit, but that's where he hit his grand slam on an 0-2 count.
Cervelli imploring him to have it down, and now time is called. Wonder what's going through his mind right now. This 20-year-old pitcher Julio Urias has thrown 83 pitches. Hasn't allowed a hit through 6. Taylor lifts a fly ball the other way that sends Polanco towards the corner for out number 2. Want to keep warm during those chilly spring nights at Dodger Stadium? Be sure to be one of the first 40,000 fans in attendance on May 20th when the Dodgers face the Marlins and get a Dodger branded pullover from Coca-Cola. Quarter front zip makes it easy to place over your head when the sun sets and the chill begins. Go to Dodgers.com/promotions. Yasiel Puig with a runner at 1st and 2 gone in a 2-0 game here in the 6th.
83 pitches for Julio. 6 innings. That's averaging almost 14 an inning. Real close. Take him up to around 125, I think, if he finishes the game. I don't think they let him go that high, so he's going to have to get his average per inning down.
Sky high pop up at short. Jordy Mercer with a call and the catch. Now back to the primary story of this one. Julio Urias back to the hill in a 2-0 game when you come back. Across the board against Julio Urias, who's thrown 83 pitches, and that number is as key right now as any of the zeros.
It sure is. If you're thinking about history being written and a young man throwing a no-no, you've got to look at the pitch count and remember how protected he has been and how special he is and could be in the future. Normally, during something like this, bullpens are perfectly still, and they're more superstitious sometimes than the guys on the bench, and they don't move from their chairs. But knowing the pitch count and knowing how Julio has been protected, they'll be getting loose if they think their number is going to be called.
Andrew McCutchen takes strike 1. Let's take it slow-mo with Kona. Looking at McCutchen's last time up. This is about as close as the Pirates have gotten to a base hit. Fly out to the wall that Tolles brought in. Bringing an exhale from Urias. Inside, 1 ball and 1 strike. You also think back to that first inning with some stellar defensive positioning may have taken hits away from the Pirates on ground balls. 2-1. Two balls, two strikes on Andrew McCutchen. The left-hander home with the next one. Yanked down the left field line and foul.
The first sign that Dave Roberts will take him out because of pitch count will be if somebody in the bullpen gets up and there's nobody on base. Somebody gets on base in a 2-0 game, it's going to be about strategy and how to get through the game to get the W. But if nobody's on and somebody gets up, then they're protecting the young man.
Another 2-2 and another foul ball. Yeah, you lose sight of the fact that you're still a bloop and a blast away from this being a tie game. And while history is a special thing, winning the game is the main thing. His 90th pitch of the night is another 2-2 to Andrew McCutchen. And the 5-time All-Star rips one to deep left. Tolles is over, still going, and he can't get there. Bounces into the seats. It's a double for McCutchen. Tolles slow getting up, gripping that right leg as the Pirates have their first hit of the night to start the 7th against Urias.
Andrew does everything he can to catch this ball, to keep McCutchen off the bases, and Andrew, as he goes in there, doesn't slow down the way you normally would if you weren't trying to save that. And right there, the knee kind of gives way and slams himself into the wall. Like he was just trying, he's kind of off stride as far as trying to slow down. A lot of pressure on that knee with his weight coming into it.
And the story very quickly shifts to worrying about Andrew's health. He'll come out. Dave Roberts will have to make a move. See what he decides here as Tolles, at least under his own power, limps off.
Just extends the leg and takes the pressure and the brunt of it.
So it looks like Kike Hernandez will come in. Tolles leaves the game on the first hit of the night for the Pirates. And a guy who has overcome a lot in his career to reach this point where he's an everyday big leaguer like Andrew Tolles has become. You hold your breath, particularly for a guy like that. Now the bullpen gets loose. Romo and Avilan. And a small part of Dave Roberts right now is breathing a sigh of relief to not have to make a decision that would kill him. Like he had to with Ross Stripling on the mound in San Francisco last year on April 8, 2016. Took a no-hitter into the 8th in his big league debut. Dave Roberts, because of the pitch count, a guy that was just 2 years removed from Tommy John, took him out. And went to the bullpen in a game that unfortunately the Giants wound up winning.
Ross Stripling's father ran into Dave Roberts at the hotel, the team hotel, the next day and thanked him for protecting his son. And my gut told me tonight that Dave Roberts is going to take Julio out after this inning anyway. I think they weren't going too much further past 100 pitches with him.
Tying run at the plate now in the form of Gregory Polanco. Urias fires a fastball that's hammered foul, strike one.
Young man has pitched very, very well tonight, and he wants to now preserve the shutout and preserve this lead at 2-0. The Dodger bullpen has been filthy this year. They lead the National League in earned run average, and they're right at the top in all the other categories from whip to batting average against, strikeouts.
Oh, 0-2. There's a great story recently on Bleacher Report from Scott Miller about Julio Urias. When he was 8 years old, he was pitching the game of his life in the league championship game for the 8-and-under division. Had a perfect game going. And then his cousin came up to bat. Wasn't a great hitter. Figured he could just throw it right by his little cousin. But on the first pitch, he lined a single past him to break it up. Just misses, ball one. Wound up losing that game, losing the championship. It was the only time that Julio's team didn't win the title until he was 13 or 14 years old. They won it every year. But that's still one of their favorite stories that comes up at family gatherings. Average 8-year-old hitter getting a hit against Julio Urias to break up a perfect game. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Polanco. Line drive to right. Here comes Puig. He makes a running catch. Throw back to second is late. Nice play by Puig for the first out of the 7th.
LCL got a base hit to right and then a couple outs after that, 1 for 3, but he is an elite right fielder. He can impact a game whether he's swinging the bat well or not. This is an outstanding read and then great speed. And boy, does he lay all out. He and Andrew Toles, the left fielder and the right fielder, gave great efforts.
Julio Urias' night is finished after 6 1/3 shutout frames. Cricket, something to smile about. What a night, and there will be others like this for Julio Urias. 6 1/3. He's pulled after allowing just 1 hit on 95 pitches, and You know, it got to the point where had a no-hitter continued, he was not going to be the one to finish it. And so Dave Roberts, with a big smile as he came over and congratulated Julio on a incredible night. Who's in, who's out, brought to you by In-N-Out. Sergio Romo comes on with a tying run at the plate. But it definitely took a huge decision off of Dave Roberts' plate. Josh Bell, the pinch hitter, to greet Romo. Fouled off, strike one. And that is not at all to say Dave Roberts is happy Julio Urias gave up a hit. It's just that small part of him breathing a sigh of relief that he didn't have to be the bad guy in front of 40-some thousand people here tonight and Dodger fans all over the world.
He'll still have to answer the question tomorrow in his media scrum. Somebody will hypothetically say, if he'd have kept going, were you going to let him pitch the whole game? And what would you have let him take in the pitch count to? Remember, his career high at Major League level is 100. That was last year. I think he would have got north of 110.
Ball on his strike on Bell.
Cut his walks in half, extended the innings a little bit further, lowered the hits, of course, off of him, and made a lot of progress from his first two starts to this third one.
One and two.
A left-hander that throws 96 to a right-hander that throws predominantly sliders. Another look. But a new hitter at the plate off the bench.
Bell has some pop, 5 home runs. But Hurdle trying to catch lightning in a bottle here to tie it. 2-2. This is the counter that Hurdle does. Dave Roberts bringing the righty Romo on to face the right-handed batting Osuna, but Hurdle counters with the left-handed hitter. Try and help mitigate that slider. Nova hoping for some run support finally. Full count. Urias, had he done it tonight, had he pulled off a no-hitter, would have been the youngest to throw a no-hitter since 1906. A guy named Johnny Lush of the Philadelphia Phillies no-hit Brooklyn when he was 20 years old, 205 days. He gets him with a slider for out number 2.
They go from chasing history to cheerleading, and Romo, the veteran, comes in and gets the job done on the first hitter. One more out to go to get in the dugout.
Tying run still at the plate in the form of Francisco Cervelli now. He's homered twice this year. Trying to extend an 8-game on-base streak. 0 for 2 so far tonight. Here comes Romo. Ball one. Youngest ever to throw a no-hitter, 20 years old in 62 days. Amos Russi of the Giants in 1891 against the Brooklyn Bridegrooms. In fact, 3 of the 6 youngest to throw no-hitters did it against Brooklyn. That's a strike. It's 1-1. McCutchen at second with the Pirates' only hit of the night. A double against Urias, just out of the reach of Andrew Toles in the left field corner. Line to left center field. Hernandez has to try it on a bounce. Misread it badly, and it gets to the wall. McCutchen in to score on a double from Cervelli, and it's a 2-1 game. And I think Kike lost that one in the lights. The perfect height to get lost.
Yeah, he's got a good beat on it off the crack of the bat. He's breaking in. The route is not a bad one at all, but watch him when he pulls up right there. It's gone. It's like, what is that ball doing? And it goes in the lights, and he's just fighting it. He did not see that ball after it was about halfway to him.
So now the tying run in scoring position. Max Moroff announces the pinch hitter. Dave Roberts out. So is Sergio Romo. Here comes Luis Avilan.
Five-game weekend plan starting at $20 per ticket. If the Dodgers win all 5 of the games you pick, you'll win 2 tickets to Fan Appreciation Day, September 24th, and be recognized in a group photo on the field. And as Joe reminds me, I will be in it. For more information, visit Dodgers.com/mini-plans.
Gonna hold you to it, buddy. Here's Avilan with a tying run in scoring position here in the 7th inning. 14 of his 15 outings this year, he's put up zeros.
Been very, very consistent. And I said right from the beginning of the year, it's not that long into it, he does not want to be on the shuttle up and down from AAA. He wants to show that he belongs here every single day. And that's all about consistency.
Cervelli's at second, representing the tying run, and it's Max Moroff, who just made his season debut last night, pinch hitting. Avilan comes home, and Moroff takes the strike. Moroff was leading AAA in home runs prior to his call-up. Struck out all 3 times up yesterday. Hitless in 5 career Major League at-bats. First 2 came last July 31st. Was up for 1 day, and then he was sent down and started this season in the minors. Called up yesterday, hitting in a key spot here in the 7th. Quickly 0-2.
They're on pins and needles if you're Julio Urias. Get a chance to possibly get a shot at a no-hitter, and a chance at a possible shutout, and now your W is on the line.
Ball 1. Looking for his first win this season in the majors. Dodgers looking for their 9th out of their last 11. The 1-2. Blooped into left center field, and the Pirates send Cervelli to the plate to tie the game. So Julio will settle for a no decision. Back at square one here in the seventh.
3 very well placed fly balls. One down the left field line that wasn't hit well that Andrew Tolles gets hurt on. Then one in the lights to Kike Hernandez in left, who replaces them. And now this one off the end of the bat on an Avilan changeup that finds some outfield grass. Not hit very hard at all. The Pirates, who have been very poor offensively, find a way to score 2.
And so the go-ahead run now on for Pittsburgh. Gifton Gope, the hitter. First run charged to Urias. Second run charged to Sergio Romo. That's a strike. Another than 2.
Did you think that you'd see Ivan Nova in the on-deck circle surviving this with everything that was going on the positive side for the Dodgers? They have flipped the script. Urias and Romo on the Dodger bench and Nova in the on-deck circle.
Nova in his first 6 starts this year, 13 runs total of support. Ball 1 on Ngope. So make that now 15 runs of support in 7 starts. Not good. Grandal sets the target inside, and Avilan throws to first. They've got him picked off, and the inning is over. But the no-hitter's gone, and so is the 2-0 lead. On to the bottom of the 7th, tied at 2. Seven. Joe Davis, Or Hershiser, and Alana Rizzo as Ivan Nova goes back out there. Pitching with new life with his offense getting him a couple of runs. Opposite the emotions of Julio Urias, who lost the no-hitter and then lost the chance at winning this game.
And you would think with 2 complete games this year that he's thrown over 100 pitches in a start. He has not. 1 complete game was an 8-inning complete game, only threw 78 pitches. And the other was a win where he went 9. He only threw 95 pitches. But the Pirates extending him right here, and Chase Utley will lead off for the Dodgers.
A lot of defensive changes in this inning for Pittsburgh. Josh Harrison slides out to left field. At second, it's Moroff. Josh Bell is at first. And Gifton Gope moves over to third. Utley attacks the first pitch, fouls it back, strike 1. Dave Roberts saying before the game today that Utley will start tomorrow's game in the finale against Pittsburgh. That'll be against Chad Kuhl of the Pirates. Nova back home with an 0-1. It's in there, strike 2.
Dave still believing that Chase is going to find a way to get out of his slump, getting in as many at bats as possible.
One and two.
In Dave's words, he says, I want to keep Chase relevant. He sees it coming. He sees it. He's a big part of this team. He wants him around and wants him contributing, and he's going to stick with him as long as he can.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Top of the order coming up after Utley. Hernandez and then Seager. Nova pitches 2-2 and Utley takes ball 3. Nova had 1 walk over his first 6 starts this year. He's walked 2 already tonight. And goes to work with a 3-2 to Chase Utley. Fly ball to right center field. Pretty well hit by Chase. Back towards the wall and off of the top of the wall. Chase Utley. You feel good for him there. A leadoff double in a tie game in the 7th.
Very nice taking the 2-2 count to get to the 3-2, then gets a heater right down the middle and strokes it into the right center gap. His head up all the way as he rounds first, because as this ball gets bobbled, he started to smell 3, pulled up with no outs on second in scoring position.
That thing did not miss going out of here by much. Ray Searage coming out.
Maybe a little review and calming down his student on the mound. Kike Hernandez now hitting after replacing Andrew Tolles in the leadoff spot in left field. Something they definitely could have gone over in the last inning as long as it took, but Ray, I'm sure, just getting the 6 inches between his ears squared away of what they want to do right here.
That's what Uncle Ray is so good at. Even trying to get in the 6 inches between the ears of Jerry Davis, home plate umpire.
Got a smile out of both of them.
So after the leadoff double from Utley, it's Kike Hernandez with Corey Seager due next.
Nobody feels worse than Kike as far as watching the shutout disappear and the Dodger lead, losing that ball in the lights.
Squares the bunt. That one gets up on him and looks like clipped his fingertips. Strike 1.
Nova's fastball has been running real well right here, and the high fastball hard to bunt, and then the running in on the hands. He did get a little piece of Kike's hand. At least the vibration of the bat made it feel that way.
Chase Utley at second to start this inning. And 0-1. Bunted foul. Kike Hernandez just one career sacrifice bunt. Trying to advance Chase Utley to third. He'll try again. And Nova takes a look at second with Bell at first, crashing in even with the pitcher's mound.
The defense being employed by the Pirates right now, I like him swinging away.
A couple of giant holes on that infield. Tries again and gets the job done. Nova's throw gets him, but Kike Hernandez gets the bunt down with 2 strikes, and the go-ahead run sits 90 feet away.
Little breaking ball. Sometimes it's a little easier to get on the ground. Kike not playing the angles, just playing the depth of that ball, deadening it out front. The right distance. It doesn't really matter what angle you get on it. Well done.
Nova's night is finished. With 1 out in the 7th, Clint Hurdle takes it from him, and Felipe Rivero comes on to face Corey Seager. A Southern California BMW Center today for exceptional offers, or visit SoCalBMW.com. Ivan Nova's night is finished. Hook not yet closed. The man at third, his responsibility, but he hands it off to a guy that has been almost untouchable. Felipe Rivero was the return on the Mark Melancon trade to the Washington Nationals last year. How about those numbers? Just 1 run allowed in 18 1/3.
97-mile-an-hour fastball. 5 runners that he's inherited. Only 1 is scored. This one is a tough one to strand. The man on third and 1 out, and the rookie of the year from last year up at the plate.
Infield comes in, and Rivero comes home. Ball 1. 97 you mentioned. At the eyeballs.
That is a close shave right here. This chin music. I'm glad Corey's still standing there.
In there for a strike, 1-1. What courage it takes to stand back in after a 97-mile-per-hour heater goes buzzing by you. And then he snaps off a breaking ball, preying on that fact. Utley at third with one out. A 1-1 to Seager. Foul back, 1-2. You're wondering about a hard-throwing guy like Rivera in these situations, perhaps throwing one by. He has not thrown a wild pitch this year. Now the 1-2. Fouls it back again. 99 on the gun.
That's a good piece of hitting right there from Corey, because in the back of his mind, he's got to be thinking possible breaking ball. Looks like he and Jerry Davis having a little laugh about the very first pitch of this at bat.
Cervelli wants it down. Here it comes on 1-2. It hits him up high. Got away from him only at 84, though, as opposed to the high 90s that he was buzzing in there to begin the AB.
Breaking ball that slips out of his hand. Big situation. Wants to throw a really good one. When you overthrow it, it can have a tendency to slip out. That's when this one does right here. Spin of a breaking ball, but not the break. Corey takes it in a pretty harmless place, but that's easy for us to say up here.
And easy for us to say only 84.
Yep.
Said that in reference to the difference from the fastball that nearly missed him on the first pitch. At the corners, one gone, and Justin Turner. Ball one.
More change-ups to righty from Rivero than the breaking ball. He doesn't throw the sliders and the curveball very much to the right-handers. He'll go more fastball change-up. Let Turner off with a change-up.
Now the 1-0. Caught in a miss on another change, 1-1. It's a changeup that Felipe Rivero learned while he was a minor leaguer in the Tampa Bay system in 2008. But it has really come alive for him the last couple of years. Grips it like his four-seam. Brings a 1-1. Inside, and Turner's ahead.
Sounded in. Jerry Davis had it in. Pitch cast. Ooh. Strike.
Justin Turner, so many big hits through the years in Dodger blue. Can he deliver another here in a tie game in the 7th? 2-2.
If you're Justin, you're not worried about the down and in breaking ball because he doesn't default to that very much. So change up or high fastball, one speed or the other.
Utley started this inning with a double. He's at third now after the sacrifice bunt from Hernandez. Seager at first. He was hit. Set and a 2-2 from Rivero to Turner. Big bouncer. Rivero comes home with it, and they get Utley at the plate. 2 out.
It's a nice play by Rivero. Doesn't get himself out of whack. Guy who throws 100 miles an hour just kind of lobs it in there. Doesn't get too far under it. Throws it up, but gets it there accurately enough.
And so it'll be up to Cody Bellinger.
First baseman number 35, Cody Bellinger.
Any opportunity for Chase to stay put there?
You might think about it, but they're probably going on contact, trying to win the game right there, or at least get the go-ahead run. Not a real comfortable at bat for Cody Bellinger after watching Seager get one at his noggin in the first pitch and then getting hit by a breaking ball. So really show his poise and mental discipline as a rookie.
Looking for his first hit of this series. He's 0 for 6. He's walked twice and scored after both of those walks. Dodgers with a 2-run homer from Grandal in the 4th. The Pirates breaking up Julio Urias' no-hitter here in the 7th and scoring twice. So we're locked at 2. 2 on with 2 out. And Rivera to Bellinger with the first one. Swing and a miss at a fastball, strike 1.
Yeah, you asked about Utley running. When a first and third 1-out situation, you have to make the defense pay if they go for the double play. And so you automatically almost run there. Maybe a little chopper like that back to the mound, you might make a second look, but your instincts and what you're told and schooled, and Chase Utley's one of the best base runners around, is to break on that.
Nothing in 2. 100 from Rivera. They just flashed that on the gun in the stadium and got some oohs and ahs from the crowd. Rivera trying to help Pittsburgh get around a leadoff double. The 0-2. Down and away, ball 1. You sticking fastball if you're Rivera? You haven't showed the change to Bellinger yet.
In some ways, I think that they've been scared to throw a 2-strike breaking ball, afraid of the wild pitch. Now with a man on second and not third, they might go to it. The changeup's mostly to righties. This is usually the breaking ball to the lefties.
Fouled back, another heater.
Cervelli going out there to talk to him. That ball, he's going to tell him it was not high enough. If we're going to go high fastball and we're ahead in the count, you've got to go higher than that. They've seen the video of the high fastball grand slam in San Diego. So Cervelli, with his studying habits, knows that wasn't the altitude he was looking for.
Another 1-2 pitch. And he got him. Went to the breaking ball and froze Bellinger to finish the inning. Dodgers started the inning perfectly with a double and a sacrifice bunt, but unable to capitalize and tied it 2 after 7. 2 for the Pirates in the 7th. Tied up as we go to the 8th, and Pedro Baez comes out.
One hard thrower on the Pittsburgh side, average fastball at 97. Pedro Baez comes in with an average fastball of 96.6 miles an hour this year. Has only given up 1 run, a solo shot. Other than that, he has been absolutely dynamite. The Dodgers are relying on him in higher and higher leverage situations. And here in this tie game, going into the 8th, one guy smiling, one guy on the mound still working.
They'll face 8, 9, and 1. Gifton Gope, the first man up.
A little bit of air goes out of your sails if you're the Dodgers. You get a great effort from Julio Urias. You're up 2-0. Really doesn't look like the inning's going very far when they score the 2 runs against you. And then 3 kind of pretty much bloop shots, or very accurate shots. One that gets lost in the lights, one that injures your leadoff hitter, and another one that just finds outfield grass. And now you're in a 2-2 tie.
And Gope bunts the first one foul. Strike 1.
A little bit more of that depression that you have to fight is getting that leadoff double, getting the runner over there with less than 2 outs and not getting him in. And you start to feel a little bit of oh no, and you've got to fight that and get emotionally into this game. Dave Roberts grinding it out over there on the bench.
Got double out of the 9 spot. Sacrifice bunt from the leadoff man. And with 2 and 3 coming up, you don't get the run home. Baez 2 and Gope with an 0-1. Fastball cut on and missed, 96, 0-2. And Gope fluent in 3 languages: English, Spanish, and a language known as Sotu, which is one of the 4 dominant languages where he's from in South Africa. Fastball high, 1-2. Slider, 2-2. Alan Hansen is on deck to hit in the pitcher's spot. And then it's back to the top and Josh Harrison. Got him swinging. And Gope the first out of the 8th. And they've pulled Hansen back. So it will not be Hansen. It'll be John Jaso instead to hit for Clint Hurdle here. Jaso having the worst season of his career so far. Here in his 9th major league season. Former Ray, former Mariner, former A. Now in his 2nd year with the Pirates.
Josh Pell came up in a pinch hit roll in the 7th. You talked about lightning in the bottle. They're looking for it right here. Pittsburgh's looking for any way to score runs. In the last 6 games, they haven't scored many at all.
Overall this year, 3rd worst in baseball in runs per game. Baez puts one in there, strike 1. And Hurdle playing a matchup here where there's a guy on the mound in Baez that has had some control problems, issuing at least 1 walk in 8 of his 11 outings. And Jaso, somebody who's made a career off of walking. High drive to deep right field. Puig is back on it. At the wall. And he leaps. It's gone. John Jaso with a tie-breaking pinch hit home run here in the 8th.
Josh Harrison.
This was a towering shot. The Yasiel thinks he has a chance at. Pedro supplies a lot of power, and so does Jaso. The launch angle on this thinks it might stay in here. Yasiel thinks he has a chance, and just misses it.
On to the 2nd of the year for Jaso. And the Pirates lead for the first time in this series. Josh Harrison takes a strike. Fourth time in Jaso's career he's hit a pinch hit home run. Other than two. Baez has now allowed 2 runs this year, both off of solo homers. The other one, Christian Arroyo. I beg your pardon, it was Brandon Belt. This one's flipped into center. Peterson's got it. I'm going to get it on the 3rd try. Michael Morse. Michael Morse's first home run of the season was the first one that Baez allowed. That tied the game in San Francisco. This one gives Pittsburgh the lead.
Another angle on this ball as it goes to clear the fence. Yasiel, how close is he? Oh, about 8-10 inches away. We've seen highlights of guys from the Far East. I can remember climbing the wall like Spider-Man and catching a ball like that. Yasiel was camped under there right by the edge of the wall. Harder to reach your glove over when you got that angle going straight up compared to when you're crashing into the wall and using it to climb.
Jordy Mercer with the bases empty and 2 gone. Here comes Baez. Jam foul, strike 1. Series wraps up tomorrow night. Same place, same time. 7:10 first pitch. Chad Kuhl for the Pirates. Kenta Maeda for the Dodgers, who's made back-to-back pretty good starts after a rough start to the season. Incorporating that cutter into his repertoire.
Also cutting back on his windup.
0-2. Back to the 2-seam instead of the 4-seam. A lot of changes. Desperate times called for desperate measures for Kenta. He knew that he was on the verge of some kind of demotion, whether that was into a bullpen role or to the minors for the first time. And he's responded by getting back on track the last 2 times out. Ball 1. Peterson, Grandal, and Taylor due up for the Dodgers in the bottom of the 8th inning. The back end, the Pirates have Tony Watson waiting. He's been very good so far. Still 1-2. Speaking of back ends, did you hear Mark Melanson now down on the disabled list for the Giants?
Wow.
Yet another injury for San Francisco. Come in with the worst record in baseball. 11-22 entering the night.
Lost to the Mets tonight, 6-1 in New York.
So 11-23 now. Mercer lifts one to center. Puig or Peterson and drifts all the way over to right center, and it's Puig to make the catch and end the inning. But a pinch hit homer from John Jaso gives the Pirates the lead. Middle 8.
The teenager Julio Urias, 6 1/3 innings of one-hit ball, leads the game, won't get the W, but a great performance. The guys will break this one down. Coming up next on Access Sportsnet Dodgers, brought to you by your Southern California Nissan dealers. John, Nomar, and Ned break it down, as well as what Ivan Nova did so well in his 6 1/3 innings of work today. And hopefully we're talking about a Dodgers win, down 3-2 here in the bottom of the 8th, guys.
It would be a come-from-behind variety as Juan Nicasio, the one-time Dodger, comes in, having the best year of his career so far.
Yep, and he's done it through some traffic. Got some rough outings early, a couple of back-to-back outings where he got losses, but then he has been back on track lately. I'll tell you what, the leadoff hitters have gotten on against him, but he has kept them from scoring last few outings. And Dodgers, I think, really catch a break with getting him in the game right here.
Before they see Watson, after they see Rivero. Watson and Rivero have been two of the best relievers in the National League this year. Nicasio's not been bad, but doesn't have the stuff that those two do. Here's a guy that could tie it with one swing, and Jock Peterson. Taking ball one. Jock 1 for 3 in this one. Singled his first time up, lined out to left, and grounded out to second. Now the 1-0. Fouled off, 1-1. Nicasio touching 95 with a heater there. Dodgers out hitting the Pirates 7-4. Their best opportunity since getting the 2-run homer from Grandal in the 4th came last inning with a leadoff double. Peterson crumbles to the ground after following that one off his foot.
Already lost one outfielder. Surely want to make sure that Jock is fine after this. Inside the right foot there. Jerry Davis giving him plenty of time to get the feeling back in that foot or get rid of the feeling of pain.
Peterson leading off the 8th for the Dodgers. And popping it foul, still 1-2. Nicasio, 30 years old now. He's out of the Dominican Republic. Pitching in his 7th major league season, mostly with the Rockies, then a year with the Dodgers in 2015. His 2nd year with the Pirates now. Peterson fouls another.
Since coming off the DL, Jock Peterson's swing looks really, really good. He's got a lot of hard hit balls. Seeing the ball out of the pitcher's hand very well. Even with a 2-strike count, he looks very comfortable.
After fouling off 3 in a row, here comes another 1-2 from Nicasio, but Jock will ask for time, but Nicasio taking his.
Cervelli asking Nicasio to throw fastballs up. Nicasio keeps shaking him off.
Cervelli got his way. Peterson barely got a piece. Still 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Up around the shoulders, Jock barely nicks it.
Missed with a fastball to start the AB, then 5 consecutive foul balls from Peterson. Another 1-2. Hard hit to first. Jaso has it, and 1 out. Now Yasmani Grandal coming to the plate, and we look at our Carl's cam. His 2-run homer in the 4th is accounted for all the Dodgers offense tonight.
High fastball that he powered right out of here. Just above where Chase Utley's ball hit off the wall that ended up just being a double.
It's also singled. 4 for 8 in this series. Here comes Nicasio, and Grandal looks at a ball. Home run was his 4th. 2 of those 4 came on opening day. Homered from both sides of the plate. 1-1. One and 2.
Coming into the game, Dave Roberts talked to Yasmani about getting strikes. That's the way you're going to come out of the slump. He got a strike in the at-bat where he hit the home run. Right there, chased a little bit, one that was a little up.
Way outside and high, 2-2. After Grandal, to be Chris Taylor in a 3-2 game here in the 8th, with the Pirates trying to even this series at a game apiece. Dodgers trying to win their 4th in a row. They're 9th out of their last 11. Now the 2-2. Pop foul. Nicasio's thrown 12 pitches, 11 of them fastballs. High drive to right. Polanco's back at the track with room. Had a good sound to it, but it's out number 2.
Second baseman, number 3.
Just reference how many fastballs Nicasio has thrown. This is a hanging, breaking ball, and he's glad he gets it back. The location of that pitch and that swing equation usually comes back home run. Nicasio knows it, and Grandal frustrated.
He had that bat drop. Some guys bat flip. Grandal bat drops, and usually when he does, follows it with a trot around the bases. 2 outs, and Chris Taylor lays off ball 1.
When you have confidence and think you got it, he releases it right there in the box. It's a little chilly here in LA tonight. Ball not carrying the way it does as we get into summer.
Taylor's 0 for 3. 60 degrees right now. Nicasio to the plate, 1-1, and Taylor swings and rips one towards left center field. That ball will split the gap and bounce off the wall. Taylor's got a double, and the Dodgers have the tying run in scoring position.
Number 66.
3-hit night for Taylor last night. One was a grand slam, one was a double, and one was a single. 1 for 4 tonight, but this double puts the Dodgers in scoring position. Now looking for a little 2-out RBI from Mr. Yasiel Puig.
He was hitting above 350 over his last 6 games. Homered last night. Franklin Gutierrez grabs a bat and is in the on-deck circle. So Puig's home run was part of that 6-run first inning. He's been working at length to get the ball in the air to the pull side, and he did it last night for his 6th home run. And he did it with great frequency during batting practice today. But it wasn't just moonshots. He was hitting line drives that were sailing over the fence routinely. Doesn't need that here. Just a base hit would tie the game.
Nicasio knows he has a few hitters just to get one out. I think early in the count here, he will try and feast on Puig's aggressiveness. See if he'll make an out on a pitcher's pitch.
Ball one.
Yasiel's got to understand the equation. First base open, tying run at second, but you still need to get a strike to drive in the run.
Had one to hit, was behind a fastball at 94. It's 1-1.
Mid-90s fastball doesn't take that hard of a swing to get a base hit. Won't be losing your balance and falling down in the box.
Yeah, came out of his boots trying to nail it. Tying run at second, 2 gone in the 8th, and a 1-1 pitch to Puig. Outside corner for strike 2.
Take a look. Pitchcast says a little outside. Yasiel, you're right.
How does he respond to that call not going his way? A 1-2 pitch. Takes it high. 2-2.
Yasiel's body language tells you he wants to swing. Even on the balls he's taken, he's flinching at him like he wants to get the bat going. It's a lot of information for Nicasio to go to the edges.
Gets away, and Puig's going to reach. Chris Taylor throws on the brakes. So he swings and misses at a wild pitch. The inning keeps rolling, and the pressure put on the plate of Franklin Gutierrez.
Cervelli will tell you that he needs to catch that ball there. I don't know if the bat gets in the way of his vision, but he flat out misses it. Jerry Davis immediately called swing from Puig. That's no doubt. But Yasiel heads up and Cervelli misses it. I don't know if it'll be a wild pitch or a pass ball. That ball's in the air, never touches the dirt. He's got an outside target with the glove right there.
Clint Hurdle comes out and takes it from Nicasio. That means Tony Watson coming in looking for a 4-out save. is that he's left-handed, and that plays right into Dave Roberts' move, which was to introduce Franklin Gutierrez as the pinch hitter.
Dave Roberts had to go to his bench early with the Andrew Tolles injury with Kike Hernandez, then used Chase Utley to create a rally where he got all the way to third with less than 2 outs, didn't get in. And now with Gutierrez here in a first and third 2-out situation, Gutierrez is going to see mostly fastballs and changeups. Not going to be as hard as Rivero. Averages only around 92, 93 miles an hour, but much better pitcher on the mound than Rivero.
Taylor doubled with 2 outs and advanced to third when Puig reached on a third strike that got by Francisco Cervelli. And now Franklin Gutierrez with a tying run 90 feet away and the go-ahead run on base. Climbs in as a pinch hitter against Watson. Strike one. Spent several weeks on the disabled list. First at bat back last week, hit a solo home run. Puig takes off, but it's 0-2 now. And just now gets to second.
Really hard for Gutierrez. He chased the pitch there, but the first pitch was a borderline strike. I think it was a little wide, and then he opens up his strike zone and now ends up in an 0-2 hole.
Base hit could put the Dodgers in front if he can find a way. Here's Watson with an 0-2. That's up, ball one. He left the game last time we saw him over the weekend in San Diego running the bases. It wasn't necessarily re-aggravation of the hamstring. His hip just tightened up on him, so they've been doing extra work trying to loosen that up. Feels well enough to pinch hit here in a clutch spot. That's ball two.
Outstanding take in the area of the first strike that was called on him. Now he is officially into the at-bat. You come off the bench cold, haven't seen balls this hard thrown at you except in the cage. You're out on prime time. 4 pitches into it, starting to get a read.
And he struck him out. So Watson comes on and able to strand runners at second and third, striking out Gutierrez.
Out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices, plus get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details.
Josh Fields, the new Dodger pitcher, 17 strikeouts and 11 1/3 this year.
He has thrown the ball very, very well. The bullpen with Kenley Jansen as the anchor, Fields, Avilan, Stripling, Baez, they have all been throwing the ball very, very well. Tonight it didn't work out, but Josh has been right at the core of this very good #1 in the ERA National League bullpen.
He'll have to go through the teeth of the Pirates order, 3, 4, and 5. Andrew McCutchen to lead things off. Started him with a breaking ball and miss, 1-0. McCutchen broke up the no-hitter against Julio Urias with the leadoff double in the 7th. Came in to score on a double from Cervelli. Cervelli scored on a bloop single from Max Moroff that put Pittsburgh into a tie game, 2-0. Pirates taking their first lead of the series on a home run from John Jaso. Popped up. Bellinger a long way to go. Puig's coming on. Who wants it? Yasiel with a call on the catch.
LCL coming a long, long way. Andrew McCutchen, outfield playing deep, has been swinging the bat pretty well so far on the first 2 games of this series. Dodgers respecting him with a little bit of depth out there.
One gone for Polanco. Dodgers have the top of the order due up in the bottom of the 9th against Tony Watson. High drive to right. Puig rests. Gathers up some energy to take a couple more steps and make the catch. Scares you sometimes out there.
A lot of times when he gets a little frustrated out there, he will definitely take the routine and turn it into something where he can release some energy.
It's never boring.
It's not boring, but you got to figure when he has a fly ball hit to him and he puts his hands on his knees that he's got a pretty good read on it.
Yeah. Tony Watson hitting for himself in anticipation of pitching the bottom of the 9th inning. Takes strike 1. He'll face Hernandez, Seager, Turner, and if they can reach, one of them can reach, Cody Bellinger would bat. 0-2. Usually those moves that Puig does, they're reserved for 2 things. Either a long home run, a no-doubt home run, or a routine fly ball to Yasiel Puig. Not sure you see that happen any other time. Any other fielder.
He's a lovable guy. Fun to watch play. Even pretty good on a yawn.
Did it with style. Grandal tried to pull that one back in there. Home plate umpire Jerry Davis not buying it. Ball 1 on Watson, who you know wouldn't have minded having that call to strike. Okay, I can go there in the bottom of the 9th. That's a 1-2-3 inning for Josh Fields. Can the Dodgers make some magic? Top of the order, Hernandez, Seager, and Turner coming up in a 1-run game. Coming up for the Dodgers here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Last chances in a 3-2 game against Tony Watson. Dodgers got a 2-run homer from Yasmani Grandal in the 4th inning. Julio Urias took a no-hitter into the 7th. But the Pirates getting to that inning when they chased Julio. And a pinch hit home run from John Jaso in the 8th. Watson 7 for 7 in save opportunities this year. He's gone more than an inning just once to accomplish the save.
5 pitches to get the last out last inning. Gutierrez didn't really look super sharp. Made a couple good pitches, but I thought he got a borderline call that started out the at-bat that helped him out a little bit.
So Hernandez comes up, had a successful sacrifice his first time, replacing Andrew Tolles, who left the game with an apparent leg injury. Kike's been known to ambush left-handed pitchers. Goes after this one and fouls it off, strike 1.
Kike thinking redemption. Lost the ball in the lights in left field. It really was in the middle of the Pirate rally that got this game tied.
Down the right field line, foul, and it's quickly 0-2. Dodgers have not been without opportunities in this game. Last inning, 2nd and 3rd and 2 out. Couldn't score. Inning before that, had a leadoff double, and then the sacrifice from Hernandez had the go-ahead run at 3rd with 1 out, but with 2, 3, and 4 in the order, couldn't get him home. Down swinging, 3 pitches to get the first out for Watson. Dodgers overall tonight 0 of 9 with runners in scoring position and have stranded 10. Here's Seager. Strike 1.
Corey has a slightly different stance against left-handers than with right-handers. Has a little bit more of an open look. Trying to get 2 eyes on the pitcher coming from that sidewinder angle when it's left on left. Moves his head a little bit more.
That's ripped to right, a base hit. Corey Seager with a 1-out single in the 9th, and the Dodgers with a tying run aboard.
Saw that one well. 2 eyes on the ball. Good, nice swing that stays in the strike zone for a long time. Gives the Dodgers some hope with a man on first and 1 out here in the 9th. Rip City.
And Justin Turner to the plate. He's 0 for 3 today. His 1 home run this year came in the 9th to tie the game. Could end it with 1 swing tonight. Fly ball to right field. Polanco started back, now comes on, and he can't catch it. Seager's safe at 2nd. The Dodgers have life. Down 1 in the 9th.
Little changeup right here off the end. No, a fastball away, and Justin looks at his bat as he leaves the batter's box. Is it broken? Corey Seager had to retreat the first as this ball hits leather. Then, as it gets away, he notices it and has enough time to get the second base, not get forced out right there. Back 2 steps, and then, boy, busted the second. Set the table, 1st and 2nd, 1 out.
For Cody Bellinger. Strike 1.
Pittsburgh 14 and 18's got to be seeing some ghosts right now. They're trying to find some wins, and the Dodgers are trying to continue a streak.
Watson's 0-1. Bellinger takes ball one. One of the greatest debuts in Dodger history, Cody Bellinger. 5 home runs, 14 RBIs in his first 11 games. Trying to be a hero tonight. The 1-1. Ground ball, right side, base hit! Here comes Corey Seager. Bellinger ties the game.
Bellinger has hit balls over the fence where nobody can catch him, and now he hits a ground ball that nobody can catch. This one finds the 4-hole, and Seager finds his way home.
Three consecutive singles. New life for the Dodgers. And with a winning run in scoring position, Jock Peterson comes up.
Chuck usually platooned against lefties, but is swinging the bat really well. Brings his helmet up that has the little guard for when he faces left-handers.
Bounce back to the mound. Watson throws to second. They get one there, but late at first. They're going to check the phones and see if the foot stayed on the bag at second as they try to turn the double play. Mercer did well just to catch the throw from Watson.
We'll hear some reactions not only at home when you watch this. Looks like he's on the bag. The fans here will get a view of it on the big screen. Bounce, glove, foot still on. Clean catch.
And now they're going to be checking in the other dugout too to see if the throw to first was in time.
That is bang bang over there. They're going to take a look. Jerry Davis trotting over to the headsets.
Either way, the Dodgers have tied the game here in the 9th inning on a base hit from Cody Bellinger, who's forced out on Peterson's grounder. And now they're going to take a look and see if this inning is over or if Yasmani Grandal will have a chance.
Jody Mercer makes a game-saving play there to record an out.
So I guess it's going to be a fast decision. He's out.
So we go from is there an out at second to there is a double play.
But there is extra innings coming as the Dodgers tie it against Watson. this year. Certainly with the momentum, though, after scoring a run in the bottom of the ninth against Tony Watson, his first blown save of the year. And Dave Roberts elects to use Kenley Jansen here in the top of the inning in a tie game, trying to tee his team up in the bottom of the 10th.
On the scouting reports, Kenley Jansen's average fastball is 95.5 miles an hour. I think the relative velocity on the league is a lot more than that, and the late break of the cutter is right on top of them. His stride is long, his drag line is long, and for every extra foot he gets close to the hitter, it's an extra 3-mile-an-hour reaction time. So I think that average 95, this is the hardest fastball with relative velocity that's been in this game tonight.
Pirates bring it up 6, 7, and 8. Francisco Cervelli, the first man. Doubled home the Pirates' first run of the game in the 7th and came in to score the tying run. Strike one from Jansen. You made the point during the break. The Pirates have used their best bullets out of the pen in Rivero, Nicasio, and Watson.
They have, and the Dodgers tied it up on that trio. Watson with his first blown save.
Cervelli hammers the ball to right center field. Puig drifts over on it. He's got room. 1 out.
This game sits at 3-3, but there have been some balls to the warning track on a cool night here in LA that could have been hits or even home runs. Some pitchers have caught a few breaks. Yasmani Grandal had one that he thought he hit out.
Now it's Max Moroff. Not a big guy, but good power. 8 home runs in AAA before his call-up yesterday. That was tied for the league lead. Strike one. Dodgers have won 8 of 10. That's the best stretch in the National League right now. Have the second best home record in the National League, sitting at 11-5. Trying to come from behind in the late innings and then in extras to win it tonight. Kenley's ahead of Moroff 0-2. Two out.
Two out with only 5 pitches as Kenley has grown as a closer. One of the things that he had to work on was efficiency, and boy, of those first 2 hitters been very efficient.
Dodgers will have Grandal, Taylor, and Puig coming up in the bottom of the 10th inning. Looks like it'll be against Daniel Hudson, who has struggled mightily this year for the Pirates. Jansen to Ngope. Strike one. It's ball one. Those 3 guys you mentioned coming up in the bottom of the 10th. I think you now include Taylor in that group and say that all 3 have the potential to end it with 1 swing. Jansen delivers 1-1, and then Ngope takes ball 2. John Jaso due next. He's the one that put the Pirates in front in the 8th inning with a pinch hit homer. Set for the 2-1. 3 balls and a strike now.
Gift already has the sombrero on Mexican Heritage Night here with the 3 strikeouts, trying to avoid the golden sombrero, which would be 4 in a night.
Full count. Might get it.
It's not a good equation now that the count got to 3-2 against Kenley Jansen.
First time for the rookie facing as good as it gets. And Kenley Jansen. A 1-2-3-10 for Jansen. Out of the bottom half, it'll be Grandal, it'll be Taylor, it'll be Puig as the Dodgers try to walk it off. Grandal, Taylor, and Puig coming up against right-handed throwing Daniel Hudson, who pitched a scoreless inning last night. Hasn't given up an earned run in May, but overall the numbers not good.
Especially leadoff hitters. There could be some excitement here in this ballpark. 16 leadoff hitters, 12 of them have reached when he's been in the game. Yasmani Grandal a little frustrated in his last at bat with a long fly ball to right, looking to start the Dodgers off here in the 10th. And they're saying on the Dodger bench, come on, we don't get paid for overtime, let's get it over with now.
I don't think we do either. We'd like the same thing.
They get paid enough, they could play all night. But they want to get it done now, win the series and have a chance at a sweep. It's not today yet, but tomorrow.
So Grandal leading off the 10th against Hudson. Swinging to the first pitch, a fastball that sprayed foul, and it's 0-1. Yasmani went deep in the 4th tonight. His 4th home run of the year. Until Bellinger's RBI single in the bottom of the 9th, that was it for the Dodgers scoring tonight. Hudson's 0-1. Grandal had one to hit and fouled it, 0-2. Taylor and Puig to follow in a 3-3 game. Ball 1. Dodgers continue to sit 2 games back of the Rockies in the West. However much you read into that in early May, but it's always fun to follow. Rockies split a doubleheader today, getting a blowout win in Game 1 against the Cubs, then losing Game 2. Dodgers had their Thursday. Hudson home with a 1-2, and Grandal swings and pulls a line drive, base hit to right. Leadoff man on in the 10th for the Dodgers.
Tip of the cap, the Yasmani Grandal. 3 good swings here tonight. A home run, a base hit right here. And a tip of the cap to Dave Roberts on a little pep talk and strategy talk with Yasmani. Focusing him in on, you've got good swings, but you got to get good pitches.
Ross Stripling will pinch run for him. Second time that Stripling's been a pinch runner this year. Did it in an extra innings game in San Francisco a couple weeks ago, and then bragged later that he's probably faster than we all think.
Yeah, he's about a 6 out of 10, he said.
Whatever that means. Hopefully it means he's fast enough to score on a ball in the gap. Taylor squares and lays it down foul. Dave Roberts electing to have Taylor bunt here. With the leadoff man on in the 10th inning.
Kenley Jansen a couple hitters away, so Stripling the pinch runner with Austin Barnes as the possibility to be the pinch hitter. And that's probably going to happen since you just took your catcher out for a pinch runner.
Stripling the runner at first. Taylor squares again and takes a ball. Dodgers tied it in the bottom of the 9th against Watson, who hadn't blown his save yet this year. They try to win it in the 10th against Hudson to make it 4 in a row and 9 of 11. Oh, a generous strike, and it's 1-2.
Jerry Davis's outside corner to right-handed hitters tonight has been very generous. Pitchcast has that just barely nicking the corner, but we've seen some off there called strikes.
Taylor down swinging. And the attempt to bunt backfires, 1 away in the 10th.
Fielder number 66, Yasiel Puig.
This combination of a ball in the outside corner, then coming back up and in, right in by the waist. Chris can hit both those pitches, but in that combination, he beat him to the spot.
Yasiel Puig with a winning run at first, 1 out in the 10th inning. And you know what he's trying to do. Pokes it foul, strike 1.
So close right there. The timing just a tad late. Yasiel's been working on that, not committing too early, reading the pitch. Bringing his spray pattern around from right field to left field instead of always being so pull conscious.
Another than 2. Dodgers have had a base runner in 9 of the 10 innings tonight. But all they've gotten is 2 in the 4th and 1 in the 9th. Stripling pinch running for Grandal, who started this inning with a single. Puig down 0-2, and here comes Hudson. Fly ball down the right field line. It's peeling towards the seats, and we'll do it again.
You can see why Hudson has struggled so far this year. That's an 0-2 pitch in extra innings in the tie game, and he just left it right down the middle of the plate. Cervelli wanted it up, kind of a waste pitch. He just throws this one right down the Pacific Coast Highway.
Well done. Coming inside on an 0-2. And Puig fouls another that he had an opportunity to hammer, and the look on his face tells you that.
Nomar has told us when you don't get a hit, it's not about the ball you put in play, it's about the balls you missed earlier than that. And Yasiel's had a couple mistakes. 3 and 4 right there.
took this one. Ball 1.
That was the pitch he struck out on, but got to first base on the passed ball in his last at bat.
Now the 1-2. Got him swinging. 2 out.
No one ever questions Yasiel's desire. He wants this as bad as anybody. Frustrated he couldn't catch a home run out in right field. Pounded his right hand into the padding out there. And this one, he tries to snap his bat. I hope he doesn't hurt himself with his emotions. He's going to have to calm down on some of those things.
Boy, when that bat doesn't break, that's got to hurt.
It's got to hurt. And then when he slammed the padding out on the right field wall, when he missed the possible catch, could have hurt his wrist too. It's expensive to the Dodgers and expensive to him if he gets hurt.
Temperatures dip down into the high 50s as we play into the bottom of the 10th inning. With Stripling at first and 2 outs. Chris Hatcher begins to warm as Austin Barnes comes up. Lines one into right center, a base hit. How fast can Ross Stripling run? He hits third and comes home fast enough. They tie it in the 9th and win it in the 10th. The local kid, the Riverside product, Austin Barnes, the hero, with a game-winning pinch hit double.
9th hit of the year, 3rd RBI of the year. And this was all of Dave Roberts' bullets. A pitcher pinch running, Stripling making the turn at second. That ball finds the gap. Austin Barnes is watching Stripling run, guiding safely into second, and Stripling rounding and coming home. It might not be the most graceful strides, but it scores anyway.
What a win. That's the Lexus play of the game. Austin Barnes mobbed by his teammates. A team win indeed. And the Dodgers have won 9 of their last 11 now. 4 in a row and a chance at a sweep tomorrow. For Oral and Alana and the rest of our crew, Joe Davis saying so long from Dodger Stadium. Time now for Access Sportsnet Dodgers.